the blue pill, the red pill. I want to give you the GosPill.
All right, guys, welcome back to the GosPill podcast. This is your host, Joseph.
Jacob.
This is Cliff.
And we got some great stuff to cover today on the podcast. Recently, Jacob mentioned to me a situation that happened at school. So we want to talk about being a Christian in school and in the workforce, at work, how we see what happens when people find out you're a Christian or once you begin to proclaim your faith in Christ. And there's many different ways that happens. And particularly just recently at Jacob's school in his high school, they showed an explicit film. So I just want Jacob to just kind of share what happened.
So it was just for an assignment. So she wanted to show us a movie about an assignment we would read. And so she started talking about how the story was and how I was going to go. But then she started saying that how I was going to show private parts and specific woman parts and all that. And she said it like she didn't even care. And I thought she was going to say, well, I'm going to skip it. But she just said that those things are going to show. And then she just started playing the movie, which I didn't know what to do in that situation. I didn't know exactly what to do. So the only thing I can do was to put my head down during that moment. And when I did put my head down, there was one of those kids in there that knew that I was a Christian, and he started making fun of me. He started making fun of me. He's like, you're saved. You can't watch this. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not exactly while putting my head down. And then most of the time I put my head down. I didn't know what to do in the very first day. I was like, well, what do I do? But then, of course, I went to you and asked you what to do. But yeah, that was basically what they're doing. There was, of course, the movie didn't show all the time, but it was specific. There were specific parts that were gonna show it, and she didn't skip it. Is what I saw. Not what I saw, but what I heard when all the noise was happening.
Yeah, so that's crazy because you think about how in school and in work, many times they don't want you to talk about faith. I've had it in my previous jobs where they tell me, you can't talk about religion, talk about work, but you can't talk about Jesus. You can't talk about Christianity because people are offended by you talking about religion. And so I found it, it blew my mind away when you told me the movie that they were showing, and I asked you for the title of the movie, and I did some research and looked up the movie, looked at the different ratings for the movie, and there's a website that you could look at the parental guide on the movie, and I saw how it was describing the different scenes in the movie, and I was like, this movie has no business showing in a school, especially when they've given you trouble about sharing the faith, about you sharing the gospel, and just proclaiming the name of Jesus Christ. And what did you say that the teacher was a professing Christian too, right?
Yeah, she said she was a Christian, but and no offense to her, but she was cursing all the time. And I don't think that's a good exampleship if you call yourself a Christian. Now, of course, she said she was most of the time she'd be talking how she has a relationship with Jesus Christ and all that, but then she does stuff like that, the showing the movie thing and then cursing all the time, which just shows me that she's being a bad example, and it makes most of us look bad who are truly living and looking for Jesus, especially. So that's not really a good exampleship, and that's what kind of made me mad a little bit. But I didn't know what to do in that exact situation when that movie was playing. So,
and Cliff, what are your thoughts? Because I know you mentioned about being a professing Christian versus a real Christian, and like what Jacob said, here's this teacher who talked about, I'm a Christian and I'm a believer, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and yet she's there cussing, showing this film that's showing fornication, showing all kinds of wicked things that has no business in school, and two, as a grown adult, you shouldn't be showing that movie in a school with minors present. So for her to say, I'm a Christian, like, what are your thoughts on that, just in general, on the professing Christian versus a real Christian and the distinctive between the two?
Well, honestly, my thoughts, I think it's, first of all, it's very sad to see that I would say Jacob went through that experience. Him being, I would say a real Christian. Being a part of South Christian Saved in the Fellowship, and to see that someone professing to be a Christian and having that example shown inside of school, and I understand Jacob is doing all these things in school. He's witnessing to people, and to have someone in the school, a leadership figure, a teacher, showing these kinds of things in school, it kind of, I guess it kind of offsets of what is being represented. Because one's saying, hey, this I'm a Christian in this, and I'm gonna show these different things. I'm cursing this and that, and the other one is doing what he's supposed to do, and it's like that could be confusing for the different people he comes in contact with. Hey, you're a Christian, right? But and then I mean that it's also a good, I guess, witnessing strategy too. That is it okay to do this and this and that, and that could be a door opener. But I would say it is very, I guess, sad. It's very misrepresentative of what the Christian faith is actually like, and actually characterizes what Jesus did. As far as preaching the gospel. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. That was wild. It was crazy.
Yeah, because you think about Jacob, you've been unashamed in school. You've been having your Bible studies. We talk a lot about what you want to do there in school, and just your passion, your zeal, your drive to win the lost souls for Jesus Christ, and then having to confront, because you did confront her, right, about it.
Yeah, I had to confront her. You told me to go say something about it, which I did afterwards.
Yeah, because if someone can show a movie like that, then we have every right to stand up and speak the truth unashamed, to say, you know what, as a Christian, I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to participate in that. If you're going to show that, then I'm not going to be in your class, because, many times, especially in school, there's people who don't have parents, and they don't know what to do in the situation. They don't have that guidance of, okay, what should I do in this situation? And that's the important part of having a pastor being in church, where you say, no, you stand up for the truth. You stand up for what's right. If they're telling you you can't talk about religion, well, then you shouldn't be showing. And aside from just religion, they shouldn't be showing a movie like that in school. And you should have every right to stand up boldly, unashamed, and say, you know what, I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to watch that. People make fun of you. Say, you know what, it doesn't matter what you say, because I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And, Jesus wouldn't permit me watching this, or just anyone, because it's wickedness. It's, I read the description. It has no business in school. There isn't anything in the movie to educate students, especially if she's permitting people to watch those graphic scenes. So,
Yeah, when I was first hearing about this, I felt real uncomfortable, especially in that moment. I'm like, well, I don't want to watch this. I remember just thinking about afterwards that one of the facts that probably I was addicted to pornography back then was probably because teachers were showing these type of movies back then, especially as well. Everyone in the world is okay with showing this. They was like, this is normal. This is normal teenager health, and they promote all this pornography. They promote all this sexual immoral stuff. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is normal. So now I'm a Christian, and I'm seeing this again, and everyone acting like it's normal, even though it's not. We're all still kids. I'm still a kid in that moment, and they're showing these type of things to a whole bunch of kids. And there's probably because they're showing that, there's probably going to be a kid in there who's going to be addicted in the future because of what they're doing. What they're showing to little kids, and which made me mad, especially because at that point you're showing pornography. Like Cliffy was saying, at that point it's pornography. And you're showing pornography to little kids, and the whole school, especially, they said they're okay with it, which doesn't make any sense to me. How could that even be possible, that you're okay with showing pornography at school, but then you see all this bad stuff happening at school, and you're like, you just blame it, but you don't see the root cause of it. When you're showing all these things, when you're allowing all these things at school, especially those type of films. And I asked the teacher, of course I told her, like, this isn't right. I'm a Christian. This thing is pornography. I don't want to watch it. Is there anything else I could do? But then she told me that next year I'm gonna have to do something another English class, which is gonna have a lot more worse stuff. So that's gonna be a whole different conversation. I'm gonna have with my principal, because if it's gonna be worse next year for English and it's required for me, then I don't know what to do in that moment. But I'm gonna have to figure something out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's in those moments where you're gonna have to make a stand and say, you know what, I'm not going to participate in this. If you're showing this, and that's the big thing that uh, people are debating right now in Texas is, should the school allow the Bible back into the curriculum of the school? And people are asking, what does religion have to do with teaching students and the separation of church and the state? But yet they're permitting these movies in school as a form of education, and like you said, it defiles the mind of the innocent, of the young minds that are going in there innocently to get an education. And also, you going in there trying to win people to Christ, and then when you're preaching about holiness, righteousness, purity, and you're challenging them to what the Word of God says is to live a life of holiness, righteousness, and then they hear the teacher saying, "I'm a Christian, and it's okay to watch this." That's where you find the battle within the person. Well, you know what? I want to follow her. I want that kind of Christianity, and you're having to fight that battle as well, having to preach and witness. And all your prayer life comes, plays a big part in that as well, because you're having to seek the mind of God. God, like you're thinking about already next year. Teacher saying it's going to be worse next year, so you need to figure out what you're going to do, and that's where you go to prayer. God, help me. God, navigate me through this. How can I overcome this? Because it is just wicked to see what is going on in schools. I have no idea that was even allowed into. You told me, I'm like, that's crazy, because here are tax dollars going to the schools, and that is what they're promoting, and that's what they're pushing, and yet here you are trying to fight the battle of winning these lost souls to Christ.
It especially, you know, seeing that makes me angry. I know there's a little bit different situation as well, but I remember when we were walking to Dollar Tree. I know it's a completely different thing, but it's the same subject. Me and Cliff were in the kids section. I was joking around and I was looking around, and I remember seeing in the book section for the kids section, they put this book. It was just a naked lady, and it was about like, what was it about, Cliff?
It was about astrology and the different signs and everything, and it has like different star, I guess, stars line up. I don't know what. I know it's like astrology and stuff like that, and it's like the Aries, the Leo kind of stuff, and it had a description, like a picture, and like Jacob said, it had like a lady, a naked lady there. It wasn't like an actual, but it was like a picture. It was a picture, like a drawn picture, and yeah.
It was detailed and everything, and the worst part, it was in the kids section. It was all in the kids book, all the little kid, where all the little kids read, like all the little kid stories. It was in that section especially, and me seeing that, especially where little kids, obviously look around and they like to mess with stuff. I know little kids probably will probably stroll around us. So seeing that, I was furious, and I remember just picking it up and I put it somewhere else, especially hiding it from any kids. They couldn't grab it, hopefully.
Well, that's good, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what would I do in that situation? You probably grab them and just go throw them somewhere, because like you said, the innocent child goes and wants to look at the books only to find something wicked like that. So yeah, because going back to what we're talking about, just the professing Christian, the one that says, I'm a Christian, yet their life is completely opposite compared to the one that says, I am a Christian, and I am a follower of Christ, and I'm going to preach against wickedness. It's not that we go into school and to work and you start bashing everybody over the head with the Bible, and it's because I've seen it the way I've lived my life. You go to work, you punch in, you do the best that you can, you keep your good testimony at your job, you do what you need to do, and it's only a matter of time before you begin to hear guys talk crazy, saying the wicked things that they say, especially on the Monday. You hear the guys talk, what'd you do over the weekend? Oh, I went to the bar, or I went here to the club, or I went to this place, I went to that place, and begin to describe all the wicked things that they've done and they see. And even many times the management will step in and start laughing and joking and, explaining and talking about what they did over the weekend. And it's like, wow, man, it's like you're surrounded by all this different stuff. And in back of my mind, I'm like, if I begin to preach, then I'm going to get put into the office. And I wouldn't be warned because it's happened to me before. And, I'll begin to minister the word of God and begin to preach the word of God. And sure enough, you get called into the office. You can't be talking about church. You can't be talking about religion because people are offended. And I'm like, do you want me to stop? And they're like, yes. Well, if you want me to stop, then you're going to have to tell everybody else to stop talking about the bar, stop talking about the strip club, stop talking about the clubs. I don't want to hear them cheating on their wives. I don't want to hear them talking about all the wicked things that they do. So you're going to have to tell everybody to stop talking about that if you want me to stop talking about my faith. And even at that, I'm still not going to talk about my faith. I'm still not going to stop talking about my faith because I'm still going to share the gospel because every single person here needs Jesus Christ. And what they end up telling me is just, all right, man, just get out of the office. And I just go back to work.
Speaking about that, the whole witnessing Christian thing, one of my teachers, I remember I was hosting one of the Bible studies, and I remember hearing that he said that he was a Christian, and I known this man for 3 years, and he's been my same teacher for a whole while now. And I remember he was telling me all these Bible verses and that he was a good example and everything, but he would make sexual jokes, and I remember him telling me all these sexual jokes, immoral things he would say, and I would remember that, and I remember being lost back then, and I remember knowing that he told me he was just telling me now that he was a Christian and stuff. It made me furious, and I'm like, so you've been a Christian, right? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, you had me for like 3 years now. He's like, yeah. And I witnessed him. I told him, yeah, I was that kid over there. But you know what? I was addicted to pornography. I was suffering. I wanted to do a school shooting, sir. But you never let me know about Jesus Christ. You never witnessed to me, sir. And he was like, well, it's not, it's not my part. It's not my duty. I'm like, and I got even more angry. And I said, Jesus Christ has called us. If you truly read your Bible, God has called us to witness to people. And I was about to say, you're not a good example. I was about to.
You should have told him that.
You're
not a Christian. You're far from it.
I was about to go deeper and deeper, but I remember I was getting way too angry. I was clenching my fist and everything. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta calm down.
You're like the meme with the little fist. But that's good because that's righteous anger because you know where you're at in a dark place. You know where your life was at, and then to know, man, this guy had the answers, and he never shared with me the hope that I was looking for to fill my empty heart. Yet he was filling my heart with wickedness, and that's what Cliff, you had wrote in the notes too, making stands and speaking up against what's wrong. Making stands, and that's one thing too. Is there's nothing wrong with in the right way. If he's telling you, yeah, I'm a Christian, there's nothing wrong with him. Like, man, there's a right way to go about it. To tell him, man, I was lost, I was broken. Like, why didn't you ever share the gospel with me? I was looking for hope. Instead, you shared with me all the wickedness, all the things that I didn't want to hear. Like, because that's the problem, is that many times men think other guys want to hear all their filth. I've worked with, as I've been saved, I've worked with a lot of filthy, raw sinners. You're talking about raw sinners and trainers, and I've had to make stands. Here I am being trained in this new position that I've really been praying about, and it's like, man, I'm running the risk of losing my job or losing this promotion. But you know what? I'm going to do what's right, and I want to make a stand for you, God. And I'll tell him, hey, man, don't talk like that. Oh, what? You're a holy roller, hallelujah. You know what? Yes, I am. And you don't be talking like that. You want to talk like that? Talk like that when I'm not around, because I doubt you want to hear me talk about church all the time. You tell me don't be preaching around you, so don't talk like that around me either. I don't need to hear that filth, because God delivered me, and I'll begin to testify, share my testimony. And, many times I've seen that just stops it right there.
Yeah, that also has another situation with another classmate that I was telling Cliffy about. I think I remember telling you. Oh, sorry. I remember telling you a long time ago about this kid. He said, "Hey, I saw you. I saw you in the. I saw you walking that way. How come you're walking that way?" And I'm like, "Well, I was gonna let people know about the good. I mean, I was about to witness people, let them know the good hope in Jesus Christ." And like, you're about to do what? And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm about to do that." And he said, and I said, I'm about to preach lost souls." And he's like, "So then does that mean I'm a lost soul?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you are a lost soul." And I was about to start witnessing him. He's like, I remember he started getting angry. I remember seeing his face. He's like, "I just can't believe you say that to me. I'm a lost soul. So you're telling me I'm gonna go to hell?" I'm like, "Technically, yeah, you are gonna go to hell." And then I was about to witness him. So I'm like, "Do you want me to explain it to you?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, be like that then." And I remember he kept on getting angry and all that. And then so now he started making fun of me because I'm a Christian. And I've been wanting to explain to him, but I remember a kid. He asked me, "Hey, were you that one guy who with the megaphone?" I'm like, "Yes, I was. That was me." Yes, it was me. And I started witnessing to him. I told him my testimony. I gave him a flyer in the classroom, and the other guy that was getting mad at me last time heard my testimony. So I'm just hoping right now that God would touch his heart, especially when he's hearing my testimony, what God did in my life. So I'm hoping for the best for him, that God would touch his heart, especially in that moment. But yeah, people get mad when you spread the good hope, and you didn't get the chance to tell them, and they start manifesting. So that was one of my first times seeing it, sort of.
Well, the good thing is you didn't have to enter into a debate. What about you, Cliff?
Um, I would say mine's more. I wouldn't necessarily like have to like make stands, but it would be more so about like it would be like this. It would be like I would be talking to someone. It would be like, let's say, because I was in construction, I was working. It would be like the first day on the job, or on that site, and I just get to know people, and I talk to them, and the first thing I'll talk about, hey, tell them my testimony. It's like, hey, every time I get a chance, like alone, and we're working together, I'll tell them my testimony, and then maybe the next time we're talking, and then we're talking, and then he'll you know, say something like perverted or something, and he'll catch me off guard. I was like, whoa, and I was like, hey, bro, you're gonna go, you know where you're going, bro. You need to get your heart right. And it just look at me and just like, yeah, I know, man, I know. And like sometimes you can get a little cynical because you sometimes you think they're not even sincere. They just say that, but when you make stands, it's like for me it was like it catches me off guard because when I speak to people and they're talking, or somebody comes around and then they switch up all of a sudden and they starts talking all perverse, and I'm like, whoa, 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 what's going on? Whoa, we were just talking about God. What are you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. And it's like, but in those moments, it's like, you have to stay, hey, let them know what's wrong, because they just did it like right there in front of me. We're talking about God, and they just switch up right there, and it's like, wow. And when you tell them, they feel all ashamed. They get their heads down. Both of them, they just got their heads down. And next thing you know, they don't talk around me anymore. And it's like, man, I'm hoping one day, somebody just be like, you know what, I'm gonna give my life to God.
What time is church?
Yeah. But it's in those moments right there that you cut you make the line, you draw the line right there, because those people I talk to, they say they're Christians. We're talking about God right there in the moment. Oh, I'm a Christian too. Yeah, I go to this church, I go to this and that. I got baptized and everything. Some of them are Catholics and stuff like that, and gracefully I talk to them and tell them about the salvation of Jesus Christ and heaven and hell. The most important things. But in those moments we have to make a line, and I agree with everything, everything in that situation that you said, Jacob, about your teacher. I was like, whoa, man. I didn't have, well, in that moment in school I wasn't saved, so I didn't have those kind of situations, but I remember the conversations I did have, and to know that people, and I could just imagine the conversations I would have, like if I found out in that situation as well. But because I know in high school, it was, it was different. It was different because I wasn't really saved in high school, but I also professed being a Christian. But but yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my experiences.
So then you know how it is to be on both sides, then,
Yeah,
right?
I do know how. Yeah, I do. Honestly,
So have you? So you knowing how it is to be on both sides, have you learned to work with people like that or navigate through it? Through people that want to debate you or people that want to persecute you for your faith or make accusations against you.
well, yeah, actually, all three of those I actually went through. I think those were kind of like stages for me. I remember the first time, I had a little understanding of the Bible, and during the construction site, I was working with this guy who was an older guy. He was supposed to, he was talking to me about. I'm sorry, I was talking to him about God, and we went on, and then he started talking about the different churches and stuff like that, and all the churches are the same and everything like that. And then something rose up, and I was like, I just wanted to just tell her, like, no, that's not it. And then it goes down a rabbit hole of debating, and I would always fall into that trap because I would always fall into that trap because it's like I would just want to say no, that's not right. And I'm knowing the Bible. I was like, no, this is where it is. This is where it is. And then they just refuse. They just feel even if you tell them the truth, they're not gonna acknowledge the truth. They're just gonna keep going on their lies every time. And I would fall into that trap. And I remember I told my pastor, hey, Pastor, I'm debating. And he's like, no, don't debate. Just don't debate.
like like Brother Daniel said, STWs.
Oh yeah,
Strategic
STW.
time wasters.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a struggle for me because on the one side, I think one side of me likes debating, because I it liked debating because I've did a little studying in the Bible. I know a little bit more than the average Christian. The average Christian today, and that was one part of it. But I had to just say, you know what? Hey, if you're not, I remember there was one time we were street preaching, and this guy pulled up. He was, we were street preaching, pull over prayer. He pulled up, and I was like, all right, let me go. I'm gonna talk to this guy real quick. And I was talking to him, and he was just telling me his story. I was giving him grace. I was listening to a story. Hopefully, there was a point I can interject and say, hey, there's a hope in. But he was talking. He was saying he was a Mormon, and Mormonism. He came out of Mormonism, and in the back of my mind, oh, don't let me get it. And I was like, and I was just told, no, bro, no, that's not right. That's actually a demonic cult. If you think about it, you know why you didn't go get involved in it. I mean, I'm sorry. You know why, it wasn't right because it was a demonic cult. I just wanted to go in, but I was like, but he just kept going back and forth with me. And I was like, you know what, bro? If you're not trying to get saved, if you're not trying to understand, or I'm sorry, if you're not trying to uh get saved, where's this conversation going? And he said, I just want to tell you that. I was like, thank you, sir. You have a good day. And I had to learn to just cut it off right there because I knew I was gonna get drawn in. I was like, oh, but I had to learn to cut it off, because I noticed me, I I said I would say I would gauge more than I'm supposed to, and but I would have to learn to just say, you know what, have a good day. I need to go win souls. I got something to do.
Yeah, because if not, they're gonna get you,
Yeah.
and it's a strategy to get you, a strategy of the enemy to get you tangled up
Mhm.
and go down the rabbit hole. Because you have to understand when people want to debate you. Okay, where's this going? Like you said,
Yeah.
where are we trying to go? And you already know I'm not going to be converted to a Mormon.
Yeah.
Elder Cliff takes off on the bicycle. Hey there, Pastor. Elder Cliff now. And Jacob on the back. Come on, Cliff, let's go. Because you already know, I know the truth.
Mhm.
But many times the people are sincere, but they're sincerely wrong. Like when Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let them talk, and then I'll begin to witness to them, and then they realize, oh, this guy knows his Bible. All right, we're done.
Yeah.
And they'll leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even know where we were going with that.
Debates yeah, I would say before I fell into that trap a lot, and I would get drawn into the argument because I knew, and the other hand is too, just recently I got drawn in again. And
I think you like it.
but and I noticed as I was talking to him and I was telling him, this is the actual truth because he was just cut off. He just cut off the church altogether because he grew up a Catholic and everything like that. And I don't know what happened specifically, but he said he got hurt or some people he know doesn't represent what Christianity is, and all Christians are fake and everything, and Christianity itself is just a delusion. And I got I got a little heated because I'm the only Christian there, and it's like to be misrepresented like that, it kind of hurt me, and it's like I kind of not necessarily went back and forth, but I just started asking them questions. I was like, hey, what about this? What about this? And kind of played a little devil's advocate. Okay, let's play on your side. What about this and this and that? And I kind of showed him, the way he's thinking, coming from Christianity, and he just got angry. And that moment right there, I knew it's like, okay, this is not going anywhere. I'm not gonna win him like this. He's not gonna understand. He's angry. He's frustrated, and he's hurt from the church or from this and that. And that day, of course, we got it straight. I apologize. I was getting a little excited. Talking talking back and forth. But I understood. This is not the right way to do it.
Yeah, because it could lead also to another thing that we're talking about in the beginning about persecution.
That's right.
Because you get someone angry, and you know what happens now is now they're out to get you. They want to find
Oh,
every way to make an example of you. And I've seen it before where I'm working, and because of they just know who I am. They know what I do. I don't show up on the first day of job. Hi, my name's Joe. I'm a Christian or I'm a pastor. I don't like to tell people I'm a pastor because I've seen it. Once they find out I'm a pastor, things shift, things change. They start acting different, and so I just don't tell anyone, not unless it comes up. And then I'll even when I invite people to church, hey, come to church. This is the church that just come to my church. And so people think like my church, meaning I'm part of the church, like a member. And so people show me, oh, you're the pastor, or working, because I've seen where I remember an incident where this guy, we really never talked, really wouldn't talk. Just we had a job to do, we'd do it. So it wouldn't go, our conversation wouldn't go further than that. Just out of nowhere, one day he just snapped. And I don't remember how it all went, but he began just to attack me. Oh, and you in the church, and you think because you're a pastor and because you're a Christian. I'm like, whoa, dude, where did this come from? Like, we've never had a spiritual debate. We've never had a conversation in this, and you're just attacking me. And I'm like, oh, that somebody else started attacking me, cussing me out. F you, F your church, F God. And I'm just like, whoa, and it was just like 4 people coming again. I guess they're just waiting for the opportunity to attack me. And I just felt attacked. And, in that moment, I felt like, I had righteous anger, and I began just to tell each one of them, began just to deal with each one of them. And it's like, eventually afterwards, when things settled down, the guy came away, he was like, man, I'm sorry. Like, I shouldn't have said that, man. I want to, and I met him. He actually eventually went to the church. And back in my mind, it's like, look, you really need Christ. Like, here you are, and I understand it's not against me personally. It's their attack is against Christ. it's against Jesus. Jesus said it himself. They're going to attack you because they're attacking me. And maybe they went through some, like you said, some church hurt, or maybe they lost someone as a child, so they always hold this thing against God. And the only way to express their anger openly is to find who's the Christian, who's the real Christian. I'm going to begin to bash them and attack them. And I was blown away. I was like, oh man, it's like everybody just had it out for me, and I didn't even know because I treated everybody good. Like we're talking about keeping a good testimony. Job, you see trash on the floor, I'd pick it up. You see something trash full, I'll grab the trash. I'd go take it out to the. It wasn't my job, but just little things I saw that I'm going to be a good testimony. And then one of my bosses told me, "Hey, take it easy, Mister Overachiever." And I'm like, oh, God help me, God help me, because I just want to tell him something. But I was thinking, no, God, I'm doing this for you, and I'm not doing it to try to be an overachiever. I'm not trying to do it to, be any way other than a good testimony to you, God. And you know what? This is part of it. So I guess this is the way they see me, just being a good Christian, doing what I'm called to do. And I'll take it, and I took it. But then you see it when people really need Christ. I'm the person that they've gone to, and we've gone and we've prayed for people at the hospital that needed it the most, and we were there because they understood that's a real Christian, and when I need it, he's a person I want to go to.
I would say, I had another experience like that as well. Not necessarily being like persecuted or anything, but there was that someone that I witnessed to this guy, and he was very responsive, and I was trying to invite him to church and everything like that. And the next day, no, I'm sorry, when we got back from lunch, it was kind of going through my mind. I think he was like kind of talking behind my back to the boss, and when I came into the room and I saw him talking with the boss, he was like, "Oh yeah, we were just talking about you," and I don't know what they were talking about, but it was after what we were just talking about right now. After I just witnessed to him, so I was like, "Oh man, I hope I hope it's not like from now. I mean, I hope it's a good thing." And the very next day, I don't know what happened. He just switched on me, like he snapped, and everything I was doing was wrong. Everything I was doing was dumb, and it was just over nothing. It was just every little thing. He just attacked me. He was just cursing at me, and I was like, I was his. He was my journeyman. He wasn't really a journeyman at the time, but he was like but he was like a superior to me. And he would just keep bashing me like in my face, like, I don't even know. You said you're a Christian. You're doing I'm still learning. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm trying to do what's right. As far as like doing what I'm supposed to do, as far as like doing a good job. Putting the material together in the construction. And he was like, "I thought you're a Christian, man. You suck," and lines of that. And this went on for days. And something was boiling up in me, like, and of course we exchanged words. It wasn't like bad, but I was just telling him, "Hey, if this, you need Jesus, bro." And he was like, "No, f this and f that," and I don't know, I didn't know what to do, and I was like I was getting angry, like not righteous, but it was carnal anger. Like
I felt that too.
Yeah, I was like, man, this guy was small. This guy was small, this small white guy, and I was big. I was just like, man, just grab him, man, grab him real good, shake him up a little bit. But as it went on, he eventually came back to me. He was like, "You know what, man, I just want to apologize. I've been going through some things," and I was like, "Yeah, man, it's all good, man, it's all good. Jesus loves you." And I was like, because I was relieved, because I was like, man, you said something else.
Imagine if you would have grabbed him and you would have shook him.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on, but I know God touched him. Eventually, because
And that's an important part of keeping a good testimony. Untested faith is no faith at all. And there your faith was being tested. by the persecution, by the accusations, people telling you stuff, and it's just to push you, to make you break. And and I've learned many times people do that to see, is he a real Christian? I'm looking for hope. I'm looking for answers, and I want to see if he's for real. And I'm going to try to push him to the limit. And I want to see if he's going to break. And they see you respond in the right way, and it's like, man, then God must be real, because I wanted to see him step out of his, character. I want to see him step out of Christianity to see if it's real. That way I could, people want to find the reason to say, I knew Christianity is not real. So they're like, if I could push him and I could make him step out, then I know it's not real. People are not real Christians. But then it's like you put him in a corner where he's like, man, it's real. Like, he truly is a Christian, and there's nothing else for me to do but to apologize, because he didn't respond in the wrong way like I wanted him to. Actually, they realize they have that. I believe it's the Spirit of God touching them and saying, what you're doing is wrong. It leads them to say, you know what, I'm sorry, man. I've been going through some stuff. And then you accepting the apology and being, it's okay. It's okay, brother. I love you. Do you have anything to say, Jacob?
No. I just find that interesting. I haven't gotten that fully yet, which I'm probably am gonna go get that soon. I can't lie with you. I probably ain't gonna deal with that. So it's glad to hear this. To hear what's going on with y'all. So it's good wisdom and a better understanding for me what to do the next time if it happens to me soon. So that honestly, that's great to hear, and how y'all dealt with that. And it surprised me too how Cliff went through that. And I'm like, hey, he's talking about me? I'm like, oh no, he's white. Never mind. I was like, oh, I'm Hispanic. I was like, never mind.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be the end of this episode. So let us know, guys, if you've been through this, any experiences that you have. Go ahead and put in the comments. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you give us some activity in the comment section. Share it with someone. And any last words, guys, before we close out?
I would say witness as much as you can. Try to get, of course, alone with anybody. Let them know there's hope in them. And hope you have a good day.
All right, guys. And then also, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, let us know. We'd love to pray with you, get in contact with you. And until next time.